Yesterday I was up at Warner Brothers Studios. I had to get a sample cleared. Me and another coworker was up there handling some business, and we got to talking about the whole Kanye West thing, and his interview on Jimmy Kimmel, and we was talking about it. Went to go get some coffee, whatever, and we ran into Ellen DeGeneres. Very nice lady, probably one of the most pleasant, nice people I've met, within the entertainment industry as a whole. Very nice lady. So, I got to chop it up with her. She invited us to go to the show, whatever. My other co-worker couldn't go because he had some things he had to deal with. Went in there, that crazy ass Miley Cyrus was there. So that made me laugh when I went in there. There's some pictures that I'm going to put up throughout the video. You guys can, check out that I took while I was there in the studio. I only stayed for a little bit of time because, to be honest with you, I didn't want to stay for the whole show. But, just going back to me and my co-workers' conversation, we were talking about Kanye, and for you guys that didn't see him on Jimmy Kimmel, he basically was expressing the way he felt about the situation when Jimmy Kimmel basically made a mockery of him with the two kids. If you guys haven't checked it out, you guys can. It's probably all over YouTube, so you guys can do your own homework. But they basically hashed it out. Realized that it wasn't done to harm Kanye West's career, or it was a joke. But a lot of times I think people within the media and on these little TV shows, they tend to make a mockery out of Kanye West. And part of that, I think, is because he's a black man. Second, I think he brings a lot of it on himself. Now, like I've said before, I have issues with Kanye West personally. Not personally between me and him, but just personally as far as him as a person. And then I know how to separate who he is as a person from his music. And I've said in previous videos that I think Kanye West is one of the most talented artists we've seen in the last, I would say, 10 years. He is somebody who has came into the hip-hop industry and elevated the game. He's brought something different, and nobody can take that away from him. But, he was on Jimmy Kimmel going on and on, basically whining and complaining like a diva. And, he said that, I'm the greatest. And, he compared himself to, Jesus, Michelangelo. I mean, he just went on and on. And, that's always been Kanye. He's cocky, he's arrogant. And that's just him, and I accept, part of it I respect because, me for an example, I'm a very, confident person. I feel like to achieve anything in this world, you have to have confidence, and if you don't first have that confidence, you more than likely will fail. For an example, when I have these little cats come up to me and give me their mixtape or whatever, check out my stuff, do this or do that or whatever, which I don't give out any handouts. I help those who are willing to help themselves. But the first thing I ask them is, what would you rate your mixtape? On a scale of 1 to 10. A lot of times guys say, oh, well, I didn't have the right type of production for it, so I give it an 8, or, I could have stepped up my lyrics a little, but the production is bang, I give it a 9 or whatever, and I give it back to them. Because if you're handing me something and you don't think it's your best work at that moment, if you don't say it's a 10 out of 10, I don't want to hear it. So if you don't believe in yourself or your art, then why should I? So I understand where Kanye West comes from when it comes to his artistry. But at the same time, I think that those artists out there that we consider great, like Stevie Wonder, hands down one of the greatest artists to come in our time. Marvin Gaye, maybe the Beatles, even though I don't listen to them. Curtis Mayfield. Though Winnie Houston, those people who we would consider great, the people gave them that title. They didn't walk around and say, I'm great, look at me, look at my music, I'm the greatest thing walking alive, or, I'm the greatest one to put out the greatest music in the world. They didn't walk around with that type of persona. What they did, they got in the studio and they created great music. They performed great music, and us as the people, as the fans, we say, okay, that person is great. They're great at what they do. They make great music. I consider them one of the greatest of all time. When you self-proclaim yourself as the greatest, a lot of times it demises your art, and a lot of people don't pay attention to your art because you're so caught up in proving to everybody that you're great, your music is great, that it comes off as like, okay, you have to big yourself up that much, or you have to talk from insecurity, like you're trying to make me believe that you're great or say you're great, then obviously you're not. Because if you're a great artist, then that's going to show within your artistry. You don't have to say that. Like I said, those people that we call greats, they didn't come out here and say I'm a great artist. They created great music and they showed it by their artistry. So, a lot of times I think with Kanye, he needs to, tone it down a little bit. I understand being confident, that's great. I understand him wanting to achieve certain things within his career. But at the same time, don't talk about it, do it. If you're so great at what you do, it's going to show. I don't have to walk up to people out in society and say, hey, I'm a black man. When they look at me, they can tell I'm black. The way I speak, the way I carry myself, you can tell I'm black. I'm a black man. So when you're really about something, it's going to show. You don't have to keep walking around trying to prove to everybody you're this or you're that. And I just think that Kanye really needs to fall back a little bit and really understand that the media knows he's going to react in a certain way. So therefore, they egg him on. They aggravate him. They do the same thing with Chris Brown. They know that, okay, he's an easy target. He's a stereotypical black man that gets angry real quick, cuss everybody out. Quick to oversaturize his manhood. And they use that and they play that against him. Everything he does, they use it against him. And I don't think Kanye West, really understands that. I think he just gets emotional. He has insecurity problems. That's point blank in front of everybody. And he just plays right into TMZ and the media and these little bullshit comedians out here. He plays right into their hands. And I really just think he has to learn the game when it comes to knowing how to deal with the media and dealing with people who are constantly going to target you. And another thing, I heard him talk about Kim Kardashian, getting a star on the Hollywood Walk or whatever. And to be honest with you, I don't think Kim Kardashian deserves no damn star. I mean, what has she done? What has she done? Her whole fame and family got on basically by Ray J's dick. So I don't see how this woman deserves to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She might be buzzing or, got a little buzz out there because of all the controversy she's been in, but what does she really contribute to the entertainment field? Nothing. But that's my opinion on Kanye West. But a lot of times he forgets. You are a black man and they will target you, especially when you're in the public eye. I've said many a time, when you are in the public eye, you have to be very cautious of the things that you say and you do, because everything you do they will use against you. But that's all I have to say. I'm out. You guys can give me your feedback if you want. Peace.